Hello friends, welcome back. It's a great day in South Florida and you are watching Chris Igoe. Today I'm taking a step back and I want to share exactly why, what happened, because I fell into a pattern, I fell into a trap, and I suspect I'm not unique in this experience here, especially in the content creator space, especially in the real estate content creator space. And I want to call out and send shouts out and props to a few other creators that are out there and they're doing it the right way. So first and foremost, I want to shout out and send props to Jeb Smith, who is an agent out in California. And I suspect many of you have who have called and reached out to me to relocate from California to Florida. Maybe you know him, maybe you don't, I don't know. But I have been continuously impressed with the value that he shares with his audience. And some of the things that he's done recently in terms of providing value for his audience, for his clients, to help educate the public, has really been helpful to me. It's really helped me reset and reframe the way I'm doing things, because I have found myself in a trap of trying to replicate what others are doing, which is working on YouTube. The content creator space can easily be manipulated, and I'm guilty of it. You can look at some of the content that's out there and the clickbait and the sensationalism and the doom and the gloom and the fear and the uncertainty and everybody's going broke and it's the end of the world as we know it. And that works. It's actually highly effective. It is very, very easy to manipulate the system and the algorithm to serve people what they want to see. And you can throw in B-roll and fancy editing and all kinds of different things to manipulate results on YouTube. And I've done that. I'm guilty of that. And they provide for great vanity metrics. It can provide for channel growth. It can provide for growing an audience. But be careful what you ask for, because you might get it and you might find that you've generated a big audience of people that you actually don't want to connect with. People who, frankly, I don't want to or relate to at all. And that's not everybody, obviously, but that's not how I started this channel. I started this channel very intentionally to serve and support my audience, which at the time was much smaller, but I wanted to ensure that anybody who was shopping for a home, and this was during the pandemic, right as the pandemic was breaking, I wanted to ensure that anybody around the country and around the world would be able to tour every community that had existed in my markets. And so I did tons of tours showcasing what it's like to live in Palm Beach County, in certain parts of Broward County. So Parkland, Coral Springs, some parts of Fort Lauderdale, waterfront homes, oceanfront homes, some condos, but not really, because I don't really service that market. I know a lot about that market. I'm an expert in that market, but that's not the type of inventory that I want to work with for the most part. And so I got more granular. And I went obviously into Palm Beach County. I got hyper local. I certainly built out tons of content of what it's like to live in Boynton Beach, what it's like to live in Boca Raton, what it's like to live in Delray Beach, what it's like to live in Wellington, what it's like to live in Manalapan, what it's like to live in West Palm Beach, what it's like to live all over the place. And I went into all of the neighborhoods and went granular into these neighborhoods, showcasing what it's like to live in these communities. So Canyon Trails, Canyon Springs, Canyon Isles, Canyon Lakes, all of the Valencias, all of the new construction, highlighting and showcasing GL homes specifically because they're one of the biggest builders in my market. And we're actually going to drive through the Lotus Edge Sales Center right now, or actually not the sales center, but the community, because I'm in the neighborhood and I wanted to drive through. But that was the intent of the channel. It was to provide maximum value, and really what it was to do was to ensure I didn't necessarily have to do these driving tours with someone who wanted to see these areas. I wanted to save us both time. I wanted them to see what it's like to be sitting in the car with me if we were going on a tour together. So it was self-serving and it worked. It was incredibly helpful. And during that pandemic rush, we got something close to $100 million worth of buyer brokerages signed by outside clients who had never met me in any way, shape, or form other than through YouTube, and then from a buyer consultation with me online. And from there, my business exploded. And truthfully, I didn't capitalize the right way on all of that business. And I made lots of mistakes along the way. None of them intentional, but taking on too much too soon sometimes it's not a gift, it can be a curse. And so that sucked, but I didn't capitalize on all of those $100 million worth of buyer brokerage contracts signed. I did not serve and support all of those people the right way. I scaled too quickly, and in many instances, I failed. But also in many instances, we did a phenomenal job, and we just grew too quickly. And that won't happen again in terms of the failures on my end to execute the right way. But when you have, I'm making up numbers here, but if you have 100 clients and you've only got 5 agents to serve those clients, well, you don't have enough agents. So I grew too quickly, and shame on me, lesson learned. But that was years ago, and the market has changed completely since then, but that's the truth of what's happened. And I wanted to be clear because I realize that I am putting out content for the wrong reasons. And I want to get back to doing content for the right reasons. I want to put out content specifically for the right avatar, the right audience, the right family, the right client, the right potential client, to give them the best information humanly possible, real-time information, so that they can make the best decisions for themselves, for their families, and for their financial bottom lines. And maximize South Florida living to the fullest. Max out South Florida living to the fullest. But there's a lot of noise out there, right? And I'm driving in a new vehicle. My last truck, which was on its last legs, died this past week, so I had to get a new vehicle. And the idea that I would be car shopping yesterday was like the last thing I ever wanted to do. But nonetheless, I had to, because I had to. And I may have even fucked that up too. And what I mean by that is, someone had reached out to me via YouTube, and we were texting back and forth. I think they geographically did not realize that where they were at in Florida or visiting in Florida, I don't think they had any clue how far away they are to where I actually am. But I was under the impression that we had a phone call scheduled, and I think they were under the impression that we had a in-person appointment scheduled. But I couldn't show. In fact, I couldn't show for something I didn't know was happening, but my car died. I had to buy a new car, and I found myself in a situation where someone who wanted to see me wasn't able to because I had to buy this car. Which made me feel like shit, made me feel terrible, because I never want to disappoint or let somebody down, but I must have miscommunicated, or my system or process behind booking an appointment was obviously not clear. And so I want to take full ownership of that. I'm not perfect. And I suspect that this person is disappointed and potentially mad at me. They may never want to do business with me again. I don't know. And all I can do is learn from these things. And we're driving into Lotus Edge right now. So you're going to start to see some of the new construction. When I say Lotus Edge, I mean to be clear, this is not Lotus Edge. This is the Lotus Edge Sales Center. We're driving into the Lotus Palm community in Boca Raton. But to give you a snapshot of what that is, because there's a lot of folks out there that are being told that the market's going to crash, nobody's making money, nobody's buying homes, you got to be an idiot to buy a home. The stock market's going to crash, the economy's going to crash, it's the end of the world, inflation this, unemployment that, World War III with China, with Russia, nuclear weapons, who knows, the next version of a pandemic, who knows. Got news for you. That has always been the case. It's always the human condition. There's always a doomsday theory that's around the corner about what's going to happen. So far, how many times has the world ended? None. The world keeps on ticking, and the market's always good for somebody. And new construction in Boca Raton is good for the builders because the builders are making a fortune. This community, Lotus Edge lottery, in order to qualify to buy a home in Lotus Edge, which is going to be in a different area of Boca. It's not right here. It's on the edge of the western point of Boca. This is Lotus Palms. But GL has managed to continuously work with the municipality to find parcels of land to build on. And there are very few. Contrary to what people tell you, the truth is there's not a lot of land anywhere in South Florida to buy or to build, period. There may be scattered parcels here and there, but they're suboptimal and they're certainly not ideal for building a community. You may be able to find an old house and knock it down and build something new. That's possible, but there's just no more land, period. And supply and demand will always dictate price, period. And I don't want to take that phone call right now, and that is not a business call, that is a personal call. But ain't nobody got time for him right now when I'm talking to you. So, where am I going with this? Yesterday, I went to buy a car, and I did. And what did I see when I was in the dealership? Hand to God, the dealership was packed with people buying cars. It blew my mind. I did not expect that. That is absolutely not what I thought was going to happen. I knew it was the end of the month. I thought I would have leverage to be able to negotiate a much better deal, and I did negotiate a good deal. I did not negotiate a great deal, and I'll tell you why. I didn't have leverage. I just didn't. I needed to buy a car that day, which is the worst way to buy a car. But I got my car, I'm happy, and I'm satisfied with the deal. But I got someone who opted in recently through the referral link. So if you need a referral anywhere in the country, specifically if you need one here in Florida, and you want to work with me, then click the referral link and fill out the questionnaire. We'll get back in touch with you as soon as we possibly can. But the person had asked for me to connect them with someone in the Orlando market. And speaking of Orlando market, because I started this with talking about people who are content creators that are putting out great content, Ken Posick is out in Orlando, and he is one of the guys that are out there providing tremendous value through YouTube by telling the truth. And I always tell the truth, but I've manipulated the system and the algorithm to hook people with fear and then tell them the truth. The problem is most of the people who watch only want to hear the fear. They're never going to buy a home. They're never going to sell a home. They are probably never going to make any more money than they currently do right now. And that's horrible. But I got here, I'll give you some financial news or some financial advice, which is not financial advice because I'm not able to give you financial advice because I'm no longer an investment advisor. I'm no longer a stockbroker. So take this with a huge grain of salt. But if you want to know how to earn more money and save more and get on a budget and maximize your savings and trim the fat of all the things that aren't serving you financially, and learning how to dollar cost average and build a portfolio based on your current income and savings and lowering your debt, just real simple things. I could do that till I'm blue in the face. Nobody wants to hear that. They just want to hear about how they're never going to get what they want. And that's unfortunate. But getting back to the lead that came in from somebody looking for help in Orlando through my referral link. So there's a buyer out there, they want to hire an agent, and they want the best of the best. They want somebody like me who understands how to negotiate. And they've been trying desperately to work with different agents that are out there in the Orlando market, but the agents are all idiots. The agents are all incompetent. The agents are not doing what they want. The agents refuse to write lowball offers constantly for them, and they want me to do that for them. They want to hire me to do that for them. That's the dumbest thing any agent who understands the market would ever do. At least on active listings in the MLS, that would be the dumbest thing they could ever do. It would be a total waste of time, unless the market conditions change. But as of now, me writing up half-price contracts on 100 different homes in my market is a guaranteed exercise in futility. It's a guaranteed waste of time. You can go. You can go. Oh, pretty lady walking her, not walking, walking her kids. With walking her kids. Jeez, I'm delirious. But she's pushing her kids in a wagon, and she's out here enjoying the sunshine, the beautiful weather, maxing out South Florida, living to the fullest. Somehow I started to get that confused with walking her dog. She's not walking her dog. She's walking her children. But where am I going with this? There are deals out there in the market, and you've heard me make content recently talking about what's going on with buyer's agents and talking about how most real estate agents are going to fail out of the business because they don't provide value for their clients. Well, I'm going to flip the script on what that looks like, because right now the big opportunity, if you're shopping for a deal, does not exist on market, in my market, period. But there are plenty of people that are in financial pain. There are plenty of people who are getting squeezed out of their homes. There are plenty of people who are going to auction right now in Palm Beach County, in Broward County, in Dade County. There are lots of folks that are going to lose their home to foreclosure. They don't have to. There are other options to avoid foreclosure, but there's a lot of people that are in financial trouble. And, you know, the payment on this vehicle is double what my last one was. Thankfully, I've got the income to be able to afford it. But most people don't. And so, where am I going with this? If you are hunting for a half-price home, which again, you're very unlikely to find a half-price home in my market until something breaks in the system and there is obvious pain in the market, right? Right now, we're not looking at that. Right now, we're looking at a return to normal in terms of inventory. Right now, the phone calls that I get are from affluent buyers who want out of where they're at and into Florida. They don't really care about anything else. That's not changing anytime soon. Is the Fed going to manipulate interest rates? Who knows? Is the stock market going to crash? Who knows? At some point, yes. And so will the real estate market, and so will the economy, and so will the government, and so will the country, because whatever goes up must come down. And there's not been one superpower that over time hasn't failed. Now, I don't think any of these things are going to happen in my lifetime. I could be wrong, I hope not. But time will tell. In the interim, the market will always trade. You'll have bull markets, you'll have bear markets, but opportunities will always exist for the smart, prudent, and patient shopper. If you want a deal in Palm Beach County and you want to hire me to find an off-market deal for you, we can do that. But the compensation model for that's very different than it would be any other way. And any buyer's agent who can't articulate that to you and can't demonstrate how that will happen and have a system, process, and team to be able to make it happen, well then they're just chasing their tails and wasting your and their time. And you're gonna pay a premium for that service. Separate to that, right now, there are lots of folks out there who are thinking about selling. If you're thinking about selling because you're in financial pain, because the cost of living, life, has inflated so much you can't afford to do so anymore, well then you don't want to be caught or stuck holding the bag if and when the market changes. And nobody has any way of knowing when or if that will happen. I've said for a long time that my market is much more insulated than other markets, and that remains to be true. But I still see people in foreclosure in the auction site. I still see that out. I see a 6-month visibility window into what that looks like, and yet I've bid on some of those foreclosure homes. The foreclosure process, or excuse me, the auction process is not what it used to be. It's not as transparent. It's not in person. It's all done algorithmically and in the cloud and through different back channels, and it's all automated and computerized. There is no transparency. There is no visibility. So when I found a home for sale on auction, in foreclosure, in Canyon Trails, and it appeared I could buy it for $300,000 cash, which I knew immediately would sell for something close to $800 if I did nothing to it. But if I slapped some lipstick on it, well, I'd probably get closer to $900. I didn't win the bid on that. I also did not get to see who else was bidding for the property. There was a lot that was not obvious or transparent. In fact, there was no transparency. Who bought it? An institution. So I think that auction system is rigged. I have no way of proving it yet, but it wouldn't shock me if there's some sort of sweetheart deal that exists between the auction sites or the municipalities or the court systems or whomever, but big money typically always wins. And I want you to win. I want you to max out South Florida living to the fullest. So if we can ever help you with anything, buy, sell, or find an off-market deal and get you the best terms, the best deal possible, get you the most money humanly possible if you're thinking about selling, find the one buyer on planet Earth willing to pay more than anybody else, period, if you're thinking about selling, by creating a market within a market and creating a multiple offer situation that bids the price higher, not through insanely underpricing it, by pricing it the right way and marketing it the right way to the right buyers who can actually stroke a check for your home. If that's something useful and that's something that you want, then please click the link down below for a referral to me, and we will take care of you at the highest level. But look, it's Good Friday, and for me, it's going to be a great Friday. I hope you all have a phenomenal Easter. So please subscribe, give it a thumbs up. It helps out a lot, and I'll see you on my next video.